Okay, this is the first session of our Empire of the Hyena game, a strange game that was come up with by a microscoped group history set in a land of honourable Gnoll warriors, vagabond-like Goliaths, brutal barbaric orcs pounding at the gates of civilization, and strange giant kin who walk among the forests and the high places of the world. This land, the Fang Empire, is ruled over by the Empress from the Imperial City. But that's not where we're going to start our first session. But before we do start, I'm going to ask each of our players to introduce themselves and say a little bit about their character. So first of all, we will go for Johannes.
Right, so I'm Johannes, and I will be playing Sandy Eyes. He is from a now disbanded and forbidden tradition of Gnollish shadow warriors. And he's on the road with his companion, Yagur. They make an interesting couple, and that's it for me.
Okay, splendid. And next we have Ambrose. Ambrose, introduce yourself and say a bit about your character.
Hello, I'm Ambrose, and I'm playing Yuf Ogami, who is a Gnoll bounty hunter who essentially deals with tracking down usually people, other soldiers who have turned to banditry and stuff that have prices on their heads. And she fights with her family weapon, the bow staff.
Splendid, thank you very much. And then we go on to Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron Jason Bryant from Table Knights Entertainment, and today I am playing Yagur Garath. He is a barbarian gnoll. He stands 8 feet tall, weighing 400 pounds, and he loves to eat live chickens.
Splendid. And last but by no means least, we go on to Matthew.
Hey, I'm Matthew, like John said, and I am playing Kovac Ashnard, a rather large half-orc fighter. Like I said, large, broad of shoulder, many cuts, kind of past wounds. He's seen some action, this guy. He carries around a tattered standard looped in his belt, known to those who have heard of him, a survivor of a rather vicious war, and is trying to find work again in a time when he has been dishonoured by defeat.
Splendid, thank you very much. And we should mention for anyone watching that although Matthew's character Kovac is a half-orc, in our campaign setting, the Fang Empire, half-orcs are not the traditional mix of human and orc bloodlines that you might be familiar with. Although we're using the same stats in our campaign setting, many years ago the Empire fought a war against tribes of orc barbarians. As they pushed the barbarians from the Imperial Island to a small island adjoining it, effectively getting rid of them from the mainland, a number of tribes adopted the heavenly virtues, the civilized ways of the Empire, and became an integral part of it. These clans, as they became known, were mockingly referred to as half-orcs by their still barbaric brethren. However, this was taken by those clans as a badge of honour, and they now wear it proudly. Okay, so we begin our session with our 4 heroes having been summoned into the presence of a local Daimyo, Blood Takara Amane of the Blood Clan. As you all, at various different points, enter this large multi-floored home that she occupies in one of the larger towns in the campaign setting, you enter into a splendidly laid out and noble abode. You can see many finely wrought silk screens partitioning off various parts of the rooms from the large audience chamber that you find yourself in. As you walk in, no doubt weary from travel, the air of travel hanging about you all, you can see this female Gnoll of the Daimyo Amane sat on a chair, a palanquin at the far end of the chamber. There are a number of gnoll and even some half-orcs and probably even a few Goliaths, all dressed in the long flowing robes typical of a noble household, standing around her. As you walk in, I'm going to ask each of you to just give a brief physical description of what your character looks like. So the first two people to enter are Sandin Eyes and Yagur. So Sandin Eyes, as you enter the room with Yagur ever watchful and guarding your person, as the daimyo looks at you, what would she see?
I presume that this is not a surprise. Like we weren't like pulled off the street to come here.
Indeed, no. You have all been summoned into the presence of the daimyo. You have not been given details of what you've been summoned for. Presumably, she will reveal that shortly. But for someone of such high status as the daimyo Amane, it's a request you can't really refuse with any degree of honor.
Yeah. If we had time, I would have broken out my old temple robes, essentially my working clothes, which is to say, like straight black, fairly form-fitting attire, with probably like my temple symbol somewhere on like above my heart or something, which isn't really the advantage it maybe once was, because now the temples are in disfavor and disbanded.
Indeed, and as you walk in, you can actually hear a little bit of muttering amongst the various nobles in attendance to the daimyo's court. A few of them sort of make small gestures. They've noticed your robes, and as you say, with the shadow temples having been declared illegal by the Empress's decree, you see quite a few raised eyebrows. A couple of people are sort of looking at you out of the corner of their eyes in quite a suspicious manner. But luckily... Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Well, just finish your thing.
That's fine, I'm done. Go for it.
Oh, okay. So he's dressed all in black, no hood or anything, because that would be rude. But like above his heart, there's like a golden thread, stitching depicting like a scorpion tail, like this. And yeah, he's I guess did they take our weapons before we came in? Because I brought my swords.
No, they will not have taken any of your weapons as you were led in. However, with your practiced eye, as you're looking around, you can see that although everyone's wearing these long flowing robes, you can see there are some like conspicuous bulges in like the robes of the gnolls who are around the daimyo, leaving you in no doubt that she's sort of like well protected, hence not feeling the need to disarm you.
Okay, yeah, my internet connection probably hiccuped there. But yeah, I have my two swords in my one hand, just openly displaying them. And yeah, that's it. And as I said before, he's not the biggest gnoll. He's not a Flynn by any means. He's sort of a, lithe, athletic that way. Like a swimmer or a runner, really.
Okay, and as always, you have your faithful bodyguard and pupil, Yagur, walking next to you. So, Yagur, when you walk in beside Sandin Eyes, what will the daimyo see as she looks at Yagur?
Whereas Sandin Eyes' movements are almost graceful and deliberate, Yagur is slow and plodding. He keeps up not because he is quick, but because every step he takes is two of Sandin Eyes. He's, I think you referenced the Flynn, which I just remembered what they were. He looks to be about the size of a Flynn. You would consider him to possibly have been a half-breed, if you didn't know any better. His fur is gray and splotched with bits of red that he hasn't been able to wash out, too far stained. On his head is the only piece of armor that he has, which is a helmet made from a bone of what seems to be another knoll and plated with rivets of steel. On his back is a very long, and the only thing that looks elegant on him, great axe. And he's everything that Sand and Eyes is not when you first look at him. Weighing nearly 450 pounds of just pure bulk and muscle.
Okay, now a little bit of extra information for you, Yogord. One of the things that struck you as a little bit odd when the summons reached yourself and Sand and Eyes is that the summons, the messenger who came to you, the summons was actually addressed to both of you. So it's not a case of Sand and Eyes is going and you're just tagging along. It was specifically addressed to you. And as you've been travelling, you've been thinking about why that might be. And then you've remembered, almost just before you came into this room, you've remembered hearing when you last spoke to some of your fellow members of Clan Flame, that a number of your brothers and sisters of the clan had actually travelled to the court of Daimyo Amane to take up some task on her behalf, and they have not been seen since.
Okay. So he would also be slightly giggling as he walks down the aisle towards her, excited with the prospect of work.
Okay, splendid. And the next to arrive is Yith. Yith, so as you walk into this plush, noble chamber, what would the rest of the people present and the Daimyo see as they behold your character?
They see a knoll of average height, about 7 feet, average for a knoll. Female, has very golden sort of looking fur, and what appears to be blue tribal sort of like markings all along her right arm and basically down her right side. She's carrying very few possessions, but mainly a large bow staff. She walks into the center of the audience chamber, well, the receiving chamber, and like lines her staff down and then kowtows as low as possible and respectfully says, "How may I be of service?"
Okay, and as you're saying that, the last person summoned arrives, Kovac Ashnard. Now, Kovac, you've achieved something as a reputation as a local sort of folk hero, particularly around the small village of Casino. Now, you've found yourself in a little bit of trouble with the imperial authorities. I'll leave it up to you to decide exactly why. However, the summons that was addressed to you, it was requested that you would be expected to act as a guide of sorts to the local area, and that if you were willing to undergo that task, you would be freed from the jails of the Daimyo, where you've been languishing for some small time, and your past indiscretions would be forgotten about. They would be washed away. So as you're led in with a knoll guard on each side of you, as the rest of the people assemble look over towards you, what would they see when they look at Kovac?
So they would see he's a big orc, sorry, half orc, as is typical of the kind. Broad of shoulder, thick thighs, strong corded muscle. He wears chainmail, but you can see it's kind of open. It's not like fully open ready. It's kind of casually, just to display that he's not in a fighting mood. You can see deep, badly healed scars from fights all over that's visible. He has his black, thick dreadlock of hair that goes down to about mid-back. And each of these, in a couple of places, you can see little, like, origami metallic pins in the hair, like, corded in. And these represent things he's done for the lords of the area. only in a few bits and pieces of here, but not a full head of hair. You can see them.
Okay, now bear in mind you've not been back to the village of Casino for quite some time. You've been languishing in this jail cell, but you still know the area very well. So as Yeth plants her staff and says, "How may I serve you?" the Daimyo stands, the white robe she's wearing falling about her, and walks forward. She has a light grey and white pelt. She walks over toward you, bows, and then just with a gentle gesture of her hands, gestures for you to stand up. Yes.
Alright, I do so.
She smiles at you, revealing her teeth, and then turns to the guards who are stood on either side of Kovac, and then says, "Kovac Ashnard, will you give me your word of honour that you will listen to my proposition without attempting to escape from the grounds of this building?"
You have my word.
She nods and then says, "And I will hold you to your word. Guards, please leave us." And the two guards, they sort of look a little bit unsure. One of them looks at the Daimyo as though he's about to ask a question, and she just holds up a hand. He bows, and the two of them leave. She says, "Please, I have asked you here to perform me a small service. I ask that you all join me for tea in my private chambers." And she turns to indicate one of the sort of silk partitions at the back of the room and gestures for you all to follow her.
Yogur grunts at this, but complies.
I would wait until I'm the very last one, or maybe me and Yagur, because I'm used to, well, my presence is usually like not appropriate anyway. So I wait for all the supposedly proper folk to get on with whatever they need to get on with, and then I just slip in.
Okay, you're all led to this silk partition at the back. There is a half-orc servant there who sort of pulls the partition back, and beyond it you can see what appears to be a set of silk cushions arranged. There is a bone china tea set in the centre of these cushions. The Daimyo walks in. She sits down cross-legged on one of the cushions and she begins pouring out tea into these small bone china cups. She gestures at the cushions in front of you.
I slowly go to take a seat. I'm a bit confused because this is quite unusual for an Daimyo to receive guests such as us in this manner.
Indeed, it is very unusual. But as you all sit down, she smiles again, revealing her teeth, and says, "I greet you all in the name of the Blood Clan, especially our cousin from the Flame Clan," and she gestures at you, Yogor.
I smile at her in the same respect, showing my teeth wide.
You may or may not be aware, but there is a small village, little more than a way station for travellers, called Casino, near here, that is part of the lands that I hold rulership over in the name of the Empress. It lies on the border of the territories claimed by my clan and those held by the Death Clan, and she says as she looks at you, Yeth, and their Furbolg allies. Recently, all contact with the village, which, although it's small and it is merely a way station, is a valuable stopping off point on the way to and from clan blood holdings, all communication with them has ceased. I require people to investigate on my behalf, but honour compels me to reveal that you are not the first party I've sent to investigate this matter. A small group consisting of my favoured warrior, Bunjiro, and a group of our cousins from the Flame Clan were sent several days ago to investigate this matter, and none of them have returned.
Do I know the reputation of these individuals?
you would know that Bunjiro is basically the bodyguard of the Daimyo. He's an unparalleled warrior. He's extremely proficient, and Clan Flame is well renowned for the combat prowess and the sort of physical might of their warriors. I mean, you only have to look at Yagor to like see a living example of that.
I look to the daimyo and I go, "You honor me. I would be glad to see my brothers and sisters brought home. I wouldn't want them dying and not being recovered."
She smiles and gives a sort of little under her breath, and then says, knowing that for all his positive sides, my bodyguard Bunjiro was somewhat impetuous, I have reconsidered my initial strategy, and I have hired for you Kovac Ashnard, a person local to the area, who
I
has
incline
been,
my head to that.
in return for certain favours, he has been impressed to act as a local guide of sorts to you all, and should be able to convey you to the area fairly swiftly. Although honour compels me to caution you that mere strength at arms may not be enough in this situation. After all, I've already sent one group of mighty warriors to investigate this matter, and none of them have returned. But if you can find out what has happened to those brave souls and resolve the situation, I would look upon you extremely favourably in the future.
Right.
Yagur bows very low at that.
I hope you do not think me too crass for asking this question, and I beg your forgiveness in advance, but I don't work for free.
I smile.
And what would you deem to be acceptable payment? Yeth of the Death Clan.
200 gold pieces.
As you say that, she lets out this sort of high-pitched laugh that sort of tails off, and then says, if such a small matter will gain your services for this small task, then I will make arrangements to have the payment given to you upon your return. You have my word as a daimyo on that.
Yes. Now, if these other three wish to negotiate their price.
Indeed, it would be dishonourable of me to offer anything less to those who will share equally in whatever danger lies ahead. So if the rest of you wish a similar recompense, then I will again make arrangements.
Your goodwill is all that I need.
Any live chickens?
She laughs at this and says, well, I'm sure that adequate provisions can be arranged. And as for my goodwill, Kovac Ashnard, I'm sure that the wiping out of your nefarious deeds has nothing to do with your participation in this event.
I smile and I pat Yagur on his massive forearm at the mention of his reward, and I bow my head slightly to the daimyo, and I actually remain silent on the topic of the reward, but honored leader, are the methods of resolution left to our discretion once we approach the problem?
Of course, without knowing the precise nature of the issue at Casino Village, I cannot give you any further guidance. So I leave you to act at your own behest. But keep in mind that whilst acting as my agents, your actions reflect upon myself. Therefore, I would expect you to comport yourself with the honour of the daimyo's office.
Just to be clear, so that we will not fail due to a misunderstanding, you wish contact re-established with this village, and I presume the bodies of your last agents recovered.
Indeed. If it is possible to restore communication with the village, I would see it done. I also wish to know what has occurred there, and if, as you say, our warriors have fallen, it is only right that their bodies be recovered and returned so that they can be given a proper burial.
Yep. I bow my head and say nothing else.
I also bow and sort of hold the bowing like position until she dismisses us.
If there is nothing else that you require, then I will leave you in the care of Kovac Ashnard, who will take you to the village. It is 3 days' travel by paw from here.
I stand ready to help.
Excellent. Then I look forward to receiving word of your success. And she stands, bows slightly, and leaves the room. Leaving you all alone to have any discussions that you wish before you set out.
Alright, I stand up and sort of stretch, like, well, that was odd. Alright.
This seems like a rather strange arrangement. If the local master at arms has failed to do this thing that is asked of us.
Well, she was wise to seek outside help.
It simply means we will die in glory.
Quite possibly.
This is Yagur, my friend.
I
to
am
speak.
from Clan Flame. It is a pleasure to meet you.
And I look over at what is the half orc's name again?
Kovac
Kovac.
Ashnard.
And I extend a fist to him as a show of respect, and I go,
Not so savage, but still savage enough, I see. Good for you.
The old blood runs true. I'll match the gesture. It has been a while since I've been to this place. Strange, though, I've never considered it somewhere that would need such an able swordsman. I wonder what has befell that place. It's a few days' journey from here. I am ready to leave at a moment's notice. You have any affairs you need to take care of?
Why are we waiting?
Yes, I say we leave now. The swifter we get this done, the more respect we'll earn from the Daimyo.
Okay, at this point, if you wish, Kovac, since you are a local to the area, you can make a history roll to see what you know about the village.
I mean, that would really help. You got it. Yesterday.
Okay.
I know stuff.
You know that, as described, it is a small way station. Once upon a time, it was menaced by the bandits that roamed the area. However, about 50 years ago, a noble female masterless warrior called Kida Raku became the protector of the village, and she lived there until the day she died, protecting it from bandits. And it was mainly her organising the locals that allowed it to grow into this way station. Obviously, she's long dead herself, but still her legacy lives on in the town of Kashina.
I will relay this information as we go on. I don't know.
You also know that bandits are still quite a problem in the area. In fact, you've probably engaged in a little bit of banditry yourself in your time, Kovac.
We all start somewhere.
Indeed. So are there any preparations you guys wish to make before you travel, or are you heading off?
I'd like to pick up at least one live chicken.
That's absolutely fine. As the Daimyo said, they will make available, what provisions you require, so you can certainly have a few live chickens. That's not a problem.
If there's a shrine to the
I have
flame, I'll...
on a rope, and they're all walking behind me.
That's fine. Yeah, you can have 3 live chickens, sort of like tethered together, walking behind you. And
I'll walk through.
Kovac, you were asking about a shrine.
If there's a shrine to the flame, I will pay my respects.
Yep, there are a number of shrines dotted throughout this area. As is traditional, there are shrines to the honoured ancestors and to the various elements dotted throughout. So you make your prayers, your wishes at the temple to the flame. Well, it's not really a temple, it's more a small sort of travelling shrine. But you say your prayers nonetheless. And
I'll leave a small donation as well to the hospitality of the Lord. A few coin.
Okay, excellent, not a problem. And then you all set out on the road. It takes you about 3 days to reach this small town. As you're travelling on the road, you can just about make out this small town in the distance.
Ooh, music.
You are all walking down this long, winding road, occupied on either side by trees, rocks, etc. As you're walking along, do you converse, do you chat, or are you all walking in silence, eyes on the prize?
I question why there's a clone of me on the other side of the road. Other than that, though, I'm pretty quiet. I'm just excited at the prospect of finding something to throw my axe again, and I'm cooing to the chickens behind me.
So,
Okay, and in the meantime, feel free to organise yourselves into whatever sort of marching order you're going in. I've put Yegor at the front because I presume that's where he'd want to be. But if any of the rest of you want to sort of move yourselves around a bit.
I would be talking about something a bit macabre, maybe. So at some point along our 3-day journey, I would have brought up the subject of us not making it back. So friends, I suppose. What sort of funerary arrangements do you want? Should we not return from
let
this?
me where my body lays.
Burn me and turn my ash into into the next weapon my clan will use.
Scatter me across the land. Just like my
Your
people.
clan uses weapons made out of ash?
Ash is something that I have seen smiths use. I know it is good for steel.
Okay.
And it will
Ash.
keep my soul.
Ash also feeds the fields, and the fields feed the warriors. Should you wish to look at it that way.
Okay, as you're walking along, you can hear birds twittering in the trees. You can hear the sound of a small stream that must be babbling somewhere nearby. And I'm going to ask, can each of you please make me a perception roll?
Yep.
Theory.
Okay, so you're all walking along, you can hear these birds twittering, etc. Yeth, and you and only you being somewhat at the front, as you're sort of getting to the area that you're in on the map, you hear this that sounds a little like a normal bird call. However, as you're listening to it with your keen sense of hearing, it sounds more like someone trying to imitate a bird call than an actual bird call.
I stop for a moment and then whisper under my breath, prepare for an incoming attack. Lying in ambush.
When he says that, Yagor goes, "Attack!" And I pull my axe out.
Okay.
And I go, "Throw yourselves upon me!"
Okay. What I'm going to ask each of you to do now is if you can left click on your token on the map, and then if you can click on the initiative on your character sheet, it should add you to the turn order. Okay, it's not added you to the list, Sand and Eyes. Did you remember to click on your token first?
Yeah, no, I messed that up now. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Just click on your token, roll it again, and I'll just change it to a 7. Okay, change that to your first roll. And then I'll order those. Okay, so... and I'll make a roll for the NPCs. Okay, so Yagor, you sort of step forward and say, "Throw yourselves at me." And up ahead on the road, you can just hear from around the corner what sounds like rustling and the scrabbling of rocks. And you see what appeared to be 3 figures making their way out from behind a rocky outcropping. You can see they're wearing travelling cloaks and hoods pulled over their faces as they creep out from behind these rocks. Each of them is carrying a long, curved blade. Okay, then we're effectively in initiative order, guys. So it's Yeth first.
Okay. Each square is 5 feet, right?
That's correct.
Alright. I'm gonna make my way over here. Yeah. Yeah, so I move over there and into sort of the... Is that like a tree or shrubbery?
It's shrubbery.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna attempt to make a stealth check, predicting that they'll come closer to my allies and I might be able to get the drop on them.
Okay, no problem. Make your stealth check.
That is a 17.
Okay, let me roll for the NPCs. Okay, so as far as the rest of you are concerned, you see Yith sort of move a little bit further down the road. Then he just steps sideways into the shrubbery with barely a rustle of leaves and appears to vanish. Yagor.
Well, I think he died in combat like he wanted.
I'm muted. God damn it.
It's alright, happens to all of us, man.
So I'm about 50 feet away, so I can't get an attack off this turn. But Yagor is going to charge straight at them, like making guttural noises all the way. And this is about 50 feet. And as I'm running towards the guy, I'm like, "Cover me in your blood!"
Nice. Okay, we then move on to Kovac. What are you doing,
Quick
Kovac?
question for Sandin Eyes. Does he appear to be carrying any kind of weapons? Does he seem capable?
Yeah,
He's a beggar.
he brought his 2 swords, like short ones, not like actual katanas, in his hand to the Daimyo meeting. So he was basically ready to murder people in there as well.
Just making sure. So he will turn to you and say, "If you do not know how to use those, fear not. Stay behind me, and no harm will come to you."
I quirk an eyebrow and incline my head.
In respect. So I'm going to go here. Okay, and then what I'm doing is I'm readying an attack action, John, mechanically. If they come within 10 feet of me, I'm going to have them with my lance if they try to get past me or around me.
Okay, then it's absolutely fine. Okay, so we move on to the NPCs. So these 2 here move in on Yagor, because he's obviously a threat. The 3rd bandit steps into the middle of the road. You see him test swing his curved blade a couple of times. However, as you're stood there, Kovac, you hear a rustling in the trees, and another of these figures literally like drops down out of a tree next to you. Now, because he's landing next to you and you are ready, you can make an attack against him as he drops to the ground if you wish.
Boom.
Yeah, you've definitely hit him, so if you click on the lance to roll your damage.
Oh shit. Boom.
Okay, 13. You have easily got enough damage there to dispatch this person if you wish. So as this cloaked and hooded bandit softly and with quite a great degree of skill drops out of the trees next to you, if you wish to kill him, describe how you do so.
So yeah, I'm not muted. Checking there. So yeah, he drops down out of the trees, lands soft-footed. He tries to come at me, but the moment he moves, I've prepared myself. I expected something like this to happen, and I spring forward in a strong lunging maneuver and just spear him straight through the heart. Simple, clean.
Okay, you spear him through the heart. You see him look down in disbelief. So assured of his stealth was he as your lance pierces his heart. As he dies in his last exhalation of breath, as he slides off the end of your lance, he manages to cough out a single word. Defilers. And then he slumps to the floor, dead. And I'll mark that person as dead. Okay, we're now going to do the 2 that are attacking Yagor. Okay, unsurprisingly, that one misses you. The second attacking you also misses. So, would you like to describe how you evade these blows, if you do evade them, Yagor, as these 2 bandits swing at you?
Yes, my axe is out, and as I charge up to them, I see them coming in, and I'm hoping that they're good enough to hit me. And if you could see Yagur's face, which is covered by the bone plate, it would be so disappointed as he swipes one blade to the side with his axe and actually catches the other blade with the bone plating on his head. It hitting the bone plate but doing nothing to him.
One thing you do notice, Yagor, as they are attacking you, is as they're sort of flailing ineffectually at you with these scimitar-like blades, as their robes are moving about with the action of their attack, you can see that both of them already appear to have sustained wounds at some point in the past. You see a flash of white bandage as they're sort of lashing out at you.
Do I smell blood?
You can indeed smell blood. It's faint. These wounds were obviously incurred a little while ago, but you can still smell it.
That's all I needed. Alright,
Okay, so back onto the turn order. So we go to Sand in Eyes.
Yep. So what happens is I basically dash forward along the road and skid to a halt where I am right now in the middle of the road and fix my eyes upon the guy doing the test swings with his, I suppose, scimitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of give him this, like, come at me, bro.
No problems. As you sort of run in and you give him the come at me gesture, the bandit who is standing practicing his sword swings just points his scimitar directly at you and says, in a sort of quite a gravelly voice, "You will despoil this area no further. Turn back now."
I just stare at him.
Okay, not a problem. We move on to Yeth, who is lurking amongst the undergrowth.
Alright, so... yeah, I'm gonna move bastard. I think they're just gonna be fighting Yagur now, so I'm just gonna move up to this one and strike at him. Oh, but first, as a bonus action, you see me concentrate really hard on my staff, and then I attack. Oh, and that's a horrible mess. I'll have -4 dex.
Okay, so as you swing your staff at this hooded figure, he lifts up quite a large arm and sort of catches your staff as it's descending, arresting its movement.
I take back my staff in surprise, and wait, are these orcs or gnolls or?
They don't look like gnolls due to the way they're walking. Obviously, gnolls have the digitigrade legs, the ones that bend backwards, whereas these seem to be sort of moving in a manner as like a half-orc would when their legs bend the other way, but they're quite large to be half-orcs.
Do they look like vagabonds to me?
Well, they're bandits. I'd let you be the judge of that, but they're certainly engaged in some sort of non-legal shenanigans at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, so we move on to the next turn, which is Yagur.
Okie doke. Yagur, smelling the faint scent of blood, he just starts laughing maniacally. And he's going to attack. 13 hit.
A 13 will hit, yes.
Excellent. 15 damage.
Okay, would you like to indicate to me which of them you're dispatching and tell me how you dispatch him?
Seeing for a moment the one that Yith was attacking, his arm goes up to catch the bow staff. Yagur swings his axe down, chopping his arm all the way off. And in the moment that the guy is like just freaking out that his arm's gone, he goes in and grabs his neck with his teeth and rips it out.
Indeed, as his arm is severed and he lets out a and falls backwards, blood spraying everywhere. As he falls backwards, his hood falls down, and you see the pointed ears and sort of chiseled facial expression of a large giantkin, a furbolg. And then you leap on him, Yagur, and tear his throat out. He lets out a wet gurgle and slumps to the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move on to Kovac.
That was an unnecessary amount of damage.
So, Kovac, seeing that these creatures have waylaid my new allies upon the road ahead, he will move directly 30 feet. And he will take the dash action to just about get here. Whilst you're not able to meet his foe at this point, he does stave his lance at this point and draws the other weapon that he has at this point not shown. And he draws it out of a curved sheath. It is a glaive. The metal worked in such a way that the curvature of it makes it look like a flame flickering in and out. The silver, and readies it to attack next turn.
Okay, excellent. We move on to the NPCs. The one that is stood adjacent to Yagor and yourself, Kovac. He lowers his head and you hear him murmuring for a few moments. There is a brief shimmer in the air and he vanishes. The one that has been practicing his swings steps towards you, Sanding Eyes, still with his scimitar pointed at your chest. He levels it at you, and then in a gravelly voice that sounds like the tumbling of rocks and creaking of the boughs of trees, he says, "Turn back, you will corrupt this land no further."
Is he going in for a swing, or is he just
He's just
gesturing?
He's pointing the weapon at you, and he's giving you a warning. He's not actually made an attack yet.
Okay.
Even vagabonds don't attack beggars.
I guess at this, I hiss at him through my teeth. Just Defiler, speak sense. Does he reply in any way?
Indeed, he does. He looks at you and he says, "You will not corrupt the Earth Dragon anymore. This land has suffered enough. We told the others to turn back, but they wouldn't listen. They never listen."
I know that there's a disarm action in this game, but I don't remember how it works. I would be interested in trying to knock his weapon out of his hand, because he's basically giving me free reign to do that.
Well, I can't remember the exact mechanics of it, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just make opposed attack rolls. If you win, you've disarmed him. That seems a simple way of doing it.
Okay.
So if you want to make your attack roll.
Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing is flashing out my my scimitar equivalent, my wakizashi, and just like sideways swiping his sword out of his hand.
Go for it.
Yep, 16.
Okay, it's a very close thing. For a few moments you have doubts that you're going to be able to do it, but then you catch the point where his fingers are closed around the scimitar, sort of numbing his hand. The weapon doesn't like fly off, but it just sort of drops out of his numb hand.
Yeah, so I do that swipe, there's a clang, and then I turn my sword point towards him, and I growl at him, "On your knees. Now, you won't get a second chance."
He looks at you. You can see there is a little bit of fear in his eyes. Obviously, he's been disarmed, and he's no doubt heard the cries of his man that Yagor has torn the throat out of. But he sort of draws himself up, and you can see like the pride and fear warring on his face, and he almost sort of like bares his chest to you, and he says, "We of the free people bow to no man."
Okay, at that, I'm gonna spend a bonus action to like do an open palm strike into his chest. And let's see, there, 18.
Okay, yep, you can strike him with your open palm. You can damage him, knock him to the ground.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in for the damage. So 5.
Okay, no problems. You've done 5 hit points of damage, and you were trying to knock him to the ground. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, or at this point, I don't. If he goes down and lives, that's cool too. But I don't care anymore because I gave him the chance.
Okay, you hit him in the chest with your open palm. You hear the sound of the air driven out of his lungs. He sort of staggers backwards half a step and then falls to the ground. Now, given your strike, it's quite impressive. He managed to sort of like hold it together that long. But winded as he is, he sort of like drops down onto his knees, one hand steadying himself on the floor. You see him look over towards where his scimitars are lying, but his hand's still numbed from your strike. He's got no chance of getting it.
Yep.
Okay, then we're going to move on to Yef.
Okay. I am really shocked that this one guy disappeared. I'm going to move somewhere here. And I'm just going to pick up some dirt and sort of like throw it around in front of me to see if it will like hit someone in like those two adjacent squares.
You scatter the dirt around you, this dust filling the air. However, it doesn't seem to illuminate anything that your eyes can't see.
Did it turn invisible or did it try to escape? I finished my movement by walking up here.
Okay, that's fine. We go on
around dumbfounded.
Okay, we go on to Yagor.
Do I still smell this other person?
You can still smell the scent of them in the area, but the whole area is full of their scent and blood, so it'd be difficult to sort of narrow it down to where they are. You do get a vague whiff of a sort of scent heading away from the area, so it's possible that you're guessing from what Yith's been doing that he perhaps thinks they turn invisible, but given your sort of warrior's training, you expect if he was trying to escape, he wouldn't have turned invisible and then sort of stayed in the same place. He'd have probably legged it.
In that scenario, I'm going to go and join Yith, and I'm going to flick the blood off of my great axe as far in front of me as I can.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So as you're flicking the blood in front of yourself, you do actually see a few spots of it sort of hanging in midair here.
Okay, that was 20 feet. I actually can make it there. Creatures. And oh man, I forgot that we had rampage. I totally could have rampaged the other guy. I'm so upset now.
Maybe you're saving it all for one big rampage.
1 and 2. Yeah, that's 30 feet. And I would like to make an attack where my blood is. I'm assuming I'm doing this at disadvantage.
You will be doing it at disadvantage. You won't get any other penalties, though, because you flick the blood, you've got somewhere to aim at.
Right.
Okay, you swing your sword, however, it meets nothing but empty air.
As he's continuing to run away, I like growl at him. Die like a warrior!
Okay, we move on to Kovac.
So Kovac is... Can he see what's going on with the blood splattered?
From the distance you're at, you can't really see exactly where the blood splatters are, but you've seen Yagor flick the blood out, and he's now like flailing away at what to you looks like an empty space, shouting, "Come and die like a warrior!"
But I saw the guy disappear in front of me.
Yes, you did, yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, concerned that if these creatures have the ability to do some profane sorcery, I'm going to step back towards Standing in case there is more of them in wait. And come over here, and I will ready the dodge action if anything tries to come at me, and I'll cast about. Beware, Standing Eyes! It appears these things are using forbidden sorcery.
Now you're closer to Sandin Eyes, Kovac. You can see that the bandit lying on the ground in front of him, sort of like gasping for breath, is indeed a furbolg. He has the sort of greyish skin and the pointed ears of a furbolg and the sort of big physique. Okay, so we're going to move on to the NPCs. There is a shimmering in the air all around you, and a number of these furbolg bandits just seem to appear in sort of out of thin air. One of them is in front of Yagor, one is sort of moving in on Sandin Eyes and is between you and him, Kovac. You can also see one moving in from behind him. So we're going to have this one here is going to attack you, Kovac. So what's your AC, Kovac?
Currently 17.
Okay, swing and a miss. And the other one is going to attack Sandin Eyes.
Yep.
Which will hit.
Yep.
You sure you can fight, kid?
So you take 6 hit points of damage as you feel this displacement of the air behind you, Sandin Eyes. And then the next thing you feel is a sharp pain as a scimitar is rammed into your back. Now if you click on your token, your hit points are in the green circle, your AC is in the blue circle, so if you don't forget to update your hit points.
Can I, as a reaction, shout out to Yith and Yagor?
Yeah.
Allies! Ambush! Behind us! Aid! Sandin Eyes. Druid.
Okay, so
breathing heavily.
You guys hear that shouted out. I'm going to do the one who's hit in front of Yagor is going to attack him. Which hits.
Oh wow, that hit.
You take 2 slashing damage, Yagor, as this furbolg appears in front of you, lashes out with his scimitar, and it just sort of like grazes across your chest, letting a thin line of blood dribble down your fur. And then we move on to Sandin Eyes.
Okay, so I spin around from being hit, and I let off a howl of pain because they hit me. They got me pretty good, and it was the guy just behind me, right? Yeah. So yeah, I turn towards him, and let's see what happens as I attempt to dismantle his body. Okay, so I had my wakizashi in my hand, so I go in for the cut first. 15.
That'll hit.
7.
Okay, it's not enough to take him down. However, he is severely injured, so narrate how that goes down.
So I guess because he got me pretty good with the scimitar, I guess my turning like takes his sword a bit away from its intended place, and I just go in and I slice upwards to his torso, making a gash, which I then just plunge my hand into with my bonus action into the same wound that I just made. And it's a 1. No.
Okay, so with a natural 1, as you sort of go to plunge your hand into the wound you have made, it actually like grabs hold of your arm in a vice-like grip. It doesn't do you any damage, but it sort of throws you a little bit off balance. Your next attack will be at disadvantage.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Yif.
Alright, Yuf is gonna turn around upon hearing the half-orc's broken... Is that common, or do we all speak Null?
It's common, which is also known as imperial, but since in this setting gnolls are the predominant race, common is
okay.
gnoll in this setting, but it's also known as imperial. It's like a sort of slightly fancier version of gnoll tongue that's been adapted for civilized use.
I prefer
Okay.
Orcish myself, but you know.
So, Gnomon. Okay. Yeah, I hear the broken Gnolish, and I turn around and I run over here, and you see me focus intently with my staff, and I attack this thing. Oh yeah.
Which one are you attacking?
The one to the left.
Okay, no problem. Just for future reference, if you need to indicate anything, if you left-click and hold your button down, it'll do one of those
Got it.
circles. Okay, cool. Yeah, that is certainly enough to hit, so roll your damage.
Oh.
You can just click on where it says bow on the thing and it'll do the damage.
Oh no, I have to do an extra
Oh,
thing.
of course, because of your focus, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to make my own macros since the class wasn't actually in it. Sorry about that.
Okay, so again, that is not enough to kill him. However, he is severely injured, so narrate how your attack falls.
Wait, that's 15 damage, isn't it?
Oh, did you roll 15? Sorry, I've just seen the bottom
Yeah.
one.
Sorry,
No, it's my mistake. So you've definitely got enough. Thank you for pointing that out. You've definitely got enough to kill him. So narrate how you dispatch this Furbolg vagabond.
Alright, so there's like a brief moment where like If is standing completely still and it's this like nefarious vagabond is like encroaching in her space. She just lets out this one very quick like movement like directly into his chest, and like he like steps back a bit and like looks around like, oh no, I feel fine, but then he suddenly like coughs up blood and like collapses on the ground.
Indeed, that's what happens. You strike the Furbolg in his chest. He rocks back on his heels. You hear him let out a small laugh. He takes half a step forward, raising a fist as though he's just about to smash you in the face. Then suddenly he just goes and blood fountains out of his open mouth. And it's as though he is a marionette with his strings cut. His legs go from underneath him and he crumples to the ground dead. His eyes still open and staring in disbelief. Yagor.
Okie doke. Yagor, hearing the person under his protectorate call out, is going to make an attack and then hopefully kill this thing so that he can go protect him. Boop. What? That's terrible.
Okay, so you've not managed to do any damage on the Furbolg in front of you. Obviously, if you do try and move out, he will get an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, he does. Yagor doesn't care.
Okay, so I'll roll for his attack of opportunity, which spectacularly fails to hit you as you sort of bound away from him.
And I, as I get over there, I say to Sandenize, "Behind me!"
Okay, Yagor, you're now standing over this one who's sort of like lying on the ground. You can see that pretty much all of the fighters gone out of him. You shout out to Sandenize to get behind you. We now move on to Kovac.
All right. Kovac is going to shift just here, and he's going to raise his glaive high and slice down, try and take out this filthy vagabond.
Go for it.
Vagabond. All right.
Yeah, that'll do it. Roll your damage.
Boom.
Okay, so given that he's already been injured, that is enough to take him out. So describe how you finish him if that's what you wish to do.
Yeah, it pierces him deep. At least 3/4 of the blade goes into his shoulder at the back. Seeing the life of him escape, I then pull him close, push my foot up against his sternum or nolum, whatever it's going to be, and kick him off.
Okay, not a problem. You kick him off and his body slumps lifelessly to the ground, leaving only 2 of the bandits remaining, one of whom is in no condition to put up any of a fight. So we're going to move on to the NPCs. You hear a rustle in the trees from over here, and this bandit disappears into the undergrowth, leaving only the one who has effectively been incapacitated. We are no longer in combat rounds, so if you guys want to just jump in and narrate, feel free to do so.
Igor goes over to Sand and he kind of fusses over him for a minute, and goes, "Are you okay?"
I'm probably catching my breath, just leaning on Yagor. I'm just like hugging it out with him, basically, and leaning on him for support. And I just muttered, like, it's fine. It's just they got me in the back.
Well, while he's doing that, I take him over to where the one I cut his arm off is, and I hand him the arm, and I go, "Here, eat."
Yeah, just keep up your strength.
Okay, thank you. And I grab the arm, but I don't dig into it right now. But yeah, I take it.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. All of you can see that Sand in Eyes is like looking in an extremely bad way. He's got a deep wound in his back. There's blood staining his pelt.
I'm going to use a healer's kit, not in a mechanical fashion, but a narrative fashion, because if he got stabbed in the back, odds are he would be bleeding profusely. So I'm going to staunch the wound as best I can.
Yeah, that is absolutely fine. You bandage up his torso as best you are able, and you manage to, after a few minutes, you manage to staunch the blood flow from his deepest wounds. You feel a little bit stronger, Sand in Eyes. You don't feel like part of you's trying to escape from your rib cage anymore. But you still feel quite sort of woozy and quite lightheaded due to loss of blood.
Yeah, and after that's done, Sand in Eyes will set about tending to the dead bandits. He's basically like cracking their rib cages open and cutting their hearts out and eating them. That's his deal for the next little while.
Not a problem.
I join him in this.
Okay, whilst the two of you are doing that, as I described before to Yagor, you both notice that all of these bandits already have like bandages on them, so they'd obviously taken like wounds previous to encountering yourselves.
These must have been... They must have fought the previous party the Daimyo sent.
So when we're done with all of that, I walk over to the one that we still have in our possession, and I put my foot on his chest, and I weigh like 400 pounds, and I go, "Why did you attack us?"
He coughs with the weight of your foot pressing onto his chest, and he manages to gasp out, "To keep you away from the village, to stop you doing any further damage."
What does that mean?
The villagers, they have done something. The Earth Dragon is angry. It is a cursed place.
I look at at Kovac, because he was told to be he was said to be the local. What does he mean?
Is this news to me, John?
It's certainly news to you, Kovac. I mean, you know that the Furbolgs and a lot of people believe in the small gods, as they're called, where everything that exists in the world has a spirit, and the more powerful or more overreaching the concept is, the larger the spirit. The earth dragon is believed to be the spirit of nature and all things natural, and it's something that the Furbolg are very sort of fervent believers in. They see any attempt to pollute the landscape or interfere with the natural flow of things as a heinous crime, something they attempt to stop.
When I was last in that village, the earth dragon had not been woke.
No, it was just a fairly small village. It had a.
No, that's me. This is me saying to yoga. It was calm, peaceful.
Yeah, it was just a small village. You know, it had like a bathhouse, a bell tower, small travelling shrine to the ancestors, as most villages do. A small inn. It was just like a stopping off point, really. Nothing occult or sort of dark that you're aware of.
Who pollutes your woods?
He coughs again, still with the weight of your bulk atop him as your foot presses down on him.
I let up a little bit so he can breathe a little easier.
He coughs and splutters and takes a deep breath as you release your foot slightly. He then says, "We do not know, but we know that something horrible happened in the village. It has corrupted the earth dragon in this area. Another group of your kind came this way. We tried to warn them, but they would not listen. They attacked us. They injured several of my men, and we were forced to retreat. We tried to warn them not to go to that cursed place, but they would not listen. When they went, we did not see them again after they went in there. But we heard the sounds of a great battle and screaming. We did not dare go near. It is a cursed place, an evil place."
How many more of you are there?
There are many of us. We live in the hills and the woodlands around here, but we do not go into the village. As I've said, it is a cursed place, and you have slain all of my companions. There are no more of us in the nearby area, unless any of us manage to escape. I do not know. And you see him sort of instinctively reaches down to his chest, where you can see like the dent of like the handprint that Sandinai's left in his chest.
And I go, one of your coward kin ran.
I wouldn't trust the word of a vagabond. There could be more out there. We should not linger here too long.
As you say that, the Furbolg sort of not trying to stand up, like props himself up on one elbow, and he
no, my foot's still on him. I just let him breathe a little
all right,
easier.
okay, no problem. In which case, he just like turns his head and he glares at you, Covid, with a look of absolute hatred, and he says, "We are no simple wandering bandits. It is our job to care for the earth dragon in this area. It is not us who brought this evil to this place."
We did not come here to listen to this. You can kill him whenever you want.
I pushed my foot down. No, all the way down.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. If you want to finish him, he's incapacitated. You don't have to make a roll. You can just finish him off. So describe what happens.
I pushed my foot down on where the depression from Sand and I's hand mark was, and it just caves in his chest. And if he doesn't die immediately, he will spend the next 2 hours basically half suffocating to death.
He lets out a wet gurgle as you pretty much push your foot through him, and he sort of jerks spasmodically for a few moments. Then he lies still, his eyes rolling back into his skull.
John, is there a roll one might make to figure something out about an earth dragon? Or anything related to what?
You could certainly make a nature roll, or you could make an argument for an insight roll.
I would also like to make a nature roll.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's probably more your deal. I don't.
Okay, and what is it you're trying to work out, Yith?
I guess like how common would like a small god perhaps going berserk or in disharmony with their environment, like Is that common, like, or possible for like people to just like offend one and then they get like pissed and curse the area?
It's certainly possible. However, certainly for the larger spirits like the Earth Dragon itself, which embodies the Earth and nature as a whole, you'd have to do an awful lot to like get the Earth Dragon to interfere directly, because its awareness is sort of spread throughout the entire natural world. So you'd have to do something on a massive scale to get it to like interfere directly.
So the Earth Dragon is sort of like almost a religious icon. It's not like a specific small god to the area.
No, it's not. It's one of the larger gods. Like I say, it embodies the entire concept of nature. Whereas there might be a small god of the local woodland. That god would sort of in a court structure. That god would owe fealty to the Earth Dragon, sort of further up the chain, effectively.
Interesting. Let's head to the village.
Okay, so are all you guys heading on to the village?
Yeah, when he said that, it's at this point you realize Yugur's been walking that way slowly the entire time.
Okay, no problems, guys. I'll move you on to the map of the village then. Okay, as you're approaching the small village of Kashino, you can see it is literally, as they said, a small way station. As you're approaching, you can see a sort of wicker or wooden bell tower with a small bell on a pivot and a rope hanging down. You can see there are sort of 4 buildings to the left of you as you approach. Kovac is able to point out the smiths. He points to a building in the distance telling you that that's the inn and stables, and he points to a building here telling you that it's a bathhouse and it has a small sort of shrine to the ancestors behind it. However, as you're approaching the village, everything is eerily quiet. You can't see any signs of life or people coming and going in the village.
I will make note of this. Apart from the lack of inhabitants, this village looks very much like it did when I was last here.
I sniff the air to see if I can smell like blood.
Okay, make me a perception roll.
Oh boy.
Okay, what do you mainly smell as you sort of sniff the air? There's an old sort of musty smell of death and decay, like something died a long time ago in this village. But as you're sort of sniffing around, you can smell a faint hint of blood coming from over here, from behind the bathhouse.
Smell blood.
Where?
And I sort of rush in that direction.
I would follow him immediately when he said blood.
Okay, no problems. As the two of you run round the side of the bathhouse, you can see what appear to be the bodies of 6 gnolls lying near this small travelling shrine. You are in no doubt that 5 of them, Yagor, are wearing the heraldry of Clan Flame. The other is clad in a suit of armour, and you can see there's a katana gripped in his dead hand.
Wow.
I look at the bodies and I go, my brothers and the emperor, the daimyo's guard. I walk over and I start piling up my clansmen's bodies.
Okay. As you start to picking them up and piling them up, you notice something strange about them. As you look at the bodies, you can see they're extremely withered and they look almost partially mummified, as though they had lain here for like a long, long time. In fact, as you're trying to pick them up, some of their body parts are just almost like disintegrating and crumbling into dust as you're picking them up.
I look around this area where they've died, and I try to like determine, do they have any battle wounds on them, or does like where their bodies were all lying originally, does that look like it could have been mid-battle, or did someone else dump them here?
You can't see any wounds on the bodies. It's a little difficult to tell because of this bizarre sort of advanced state of mummification they're in. But as you look at them, you can't really see any battle wounds. But based on where the sort of bodies have fallen, it was as though they'd sort of like gathered in a circle, like they were surrounded, and they'd sort of got their backs to each other, like trying to fight something off. So while those two are doing that, Kovac and Sandin Eyes, what are you two up to?
I would probably be following Kovac around.
Yeah, I'd be going in a slow circle around these bodies to see if I can spot anyone alive, or looking out for any kind of sign of battle.
So you're going to be circling around the bodies that Yagor and Yeth have found, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you two want to move yourselves over to that area.
Where am I?
Okay, so you were looking for any signs of battle, weren't you, Kovac? Okay,
I would be more looking for like less sorcery, kind of like things like signs of footprints, signs of weapons discarded, burning, that kind of thing.
Okay, can you make me a survival roll, please?
I can do that. Survival.
Okay, as you're looking around, bizarrely, the only footprints you can find appear to have come from the dead bodies. You see that they walked into the village, they circled around the bathhouse, much as you have done, and then you can see their footprints all over the area as though they were sort of like panicked or they were trying to organise some sort of defence. You don't see
I point this out.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I point this out to Sandin Eyes. I'm like, from the way these markings are, it doesn't appear there's been much traffic in this village, which makes no sense. It's not that out of the way. It's almost as has become a painting, where the passage of time has been frozen.
John, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Have we talked, or has the Flame Clan's burial norms been described at all yet?
It's not been described, so if you want to come up with them, you're more than welcome to.
Yes, I would love to do that. So, all of the weapons in Clan Flame have been made and reforged with the ashes of the previous owner of the weapon. So my axe has many of members of Clan Flame already inside of it. And the axes of these dead in front of me have had many of the members of Clan Flame in front of it. So as I pile up their body, I set them on fire so they burn down to ash, and I collect their weapons and put it in a backpack so that I can take it home. And I collect the ash so that when I get back to my clansmen, I can tell them these have died, these were their weapons. And that's the easiest way for us to identify who has died. Because whenever someone dies, the one who owned that weapon, their name is in the blade.
Excellent. Yeah, love it. So
right.
you set fire to the bodies of your clan brothers and sisters. Due to the sort of odd state of mummification, their bodies catch extremely easily, and they're quickly reduced to piles of ash, which you collect along with their weapons to return to your clan holds.
Is there any sign of wildlife, John?
You can hear a few birds, but it is like quite eerily quiet. You'd expect to be hearing a lot more animals due to the sort of shrubbery and the landscape surrounding the village.
If there's is the shrine to a particular god? Is it to the Earth Dragon?
You can see as you look at it that it's actually an ancestral shrine, and you would know that it was a shrine made to the warrior who originally protected the village. Mm-hmm. Are you investigating it, or?
I am. I'm also going to just again pay my respects and kind of honorably ask for this spirit's protection while we're here in its hospitality, in case it has some kind of ill curse has befell this place.
Okay, not a
Superstition.
problem. As you head into this small shrine, you can see that it is indeed an ancestral shrine to the noble warrior who protected the village so long ago, Kida Raku. There is a portrait of this white-furred female knoll wearing samurai armour. You can also see a stand which has the armour on it. You can also see what appears to be a stand that would have been used to hold the weapons of the warrior. However, the stand for the weapons appears to have been knocked over, and you can't see any sign of a weapon in there.
Desecration, almost.
When you ask for the ancestors' protection, you feel a sudden drop in the temperature in the shrine. It goes icy cold, and your breath actually starts to hiss out in a cloud in front of you. The place, although it doesn't actually move, it feels as though it's closing in on you and becoming very claustrophobic.
Is something the matter?
I sort of become very still, and I can see my own breath coming out. I believe the spirits are displeased. Though I hope not with me.
When you say this, Yagur looks to you and goes, "How could they be displeased? I've burned their bodies."
Nice.
Not with your kind. I would suspect.
There is a loud crash and a bang from the direction of the smiths. The door flies open, and you see a knoll still wearing like a tattered apron come staggering out of the front of the building. However, as it does so, you can see bone showing through its fur. There is little flesh left on it. It shambles out holding a smith's hammer, but it is almost as though it was a puppet that someone was working as it shambles its way forth, sort of throwing the doors open and lurching out. You can hear signs of movement in the other buildings as well.
I look around the entire town and ready my weapon, and I just murmur, I guess this is what happened to the other villagers.
As this skeletal figure of this long dead smith shambles forward, Yith and Yagor, you can see that although the ground is fairly damp here due to the recent rains, the skeletal figure, despite its sort of plodding motion, doesn't appear to be leaving any footprints in the damp earth.
Yagor would actually feel a lot of anger at seeing this. I'm liking the idea of the spiritual aspect of the weaponry for Clan Flame, and to him, this is the greatest dishonor anyone could suffer, to still be living after death. Because the goal of every Clan Flame member is to be as powerful as they can and die in battle to be put into the next weapon to make the next generation even stronger. So seeing somebody who not only died, but then was brought back to life in a completely abominable way, it spits on everything his clan believes in and the ancestral weapons that they carry with them.
Okay, we're going into turn. That's brilliant. We're going into turn order again, guys. We're just going to keep the same initiative from previous. So we're going to go with Yeth first.
Okay. I will move there and strike this lane.
Okay, you've definitely hit. And you've done 3 damage. Okay, you...
So, does this thing feel solid, since it doesn't leave footprints, or...?
When you strike it, you can feel resistance against your weapon. However, as your weapon sort of passes through it, it almost sort of blurs the outline of it and just like wisps part of it away, as though it's only sort of semi-solid. It's not really made of flesh and bone as such. However, you do seem to have disrupted it, and you see like part of its form sort of drift off and dissipate as mist.
I let out like nervous laughter as like that completely takes me off guard.
Okay. Yagor.
Yukor, seeing this pretty much abomination for everything him and his people stand for, he's almost going to go into a rage, but he's trying to hold himself back just a little bit in case there's more of these and he wants to unleash it all at once. Let's see. Boop.
Okay, that is a miss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Him holding himself back does not do well for him.
You swing to this thing, however, as I said, it seems to only be partially substantial, and your weapon actually passes through it without seeming to do it any damage. Kovac.
Kovac. He will, suspecting that whatever befell this place, that there may be more of them, he is going to come around this way. And as he does, he says, "Are you able to stand in eyes and fight? If not, I suggest."
He's getting ready / already on his way to the roof with the obvious intent of actually doing something. Yeah.
Don't push
Okay.
yourself. No one.
Splendid. We go on to the NPCs. As you're moving around, Kovac, there is a crashing from the
Knew
inn
it.
and the stables, and what appear to be another two of these creatures shamble out of the doors of the stables. The one that is in contact with you, Yith, is going to attack you. And I'm sure misses horribly. Okay, so it slices at you quite clumsily with no warrior's finesse or skill with this hammer, but in a similar manner to Yagor, although its strike is actually aimed dead centre at your chest and it would have struck through, its hammer just appears to pass harmlessly through you. It's as though this thing is sort of like flickering in and out of being substantial. Okay, we then move on to Sandin Eyes.
So, yeah, my intent is to go up the ladder onto the roof.
Yep.
Is there any difficulty in that?
No, just move yourself to the appropriate place.
Yep. So, let's see. Oh. I'm gonna go there, like at the very top of the roof.
Okay, as you're sort of crouched at the top of the roof, you can hear, again, sort of banging and noise from within the building you're stood on.
Yeah. How far is the... let's see. This guy from me?
Okay, well, you're effectively 20 foot up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking of throwing a shuriken at the...
Oh, yeah, you're within
Sky.
range of that.
Yep.
You've got
Okay.
gravity helping you.
Yeah. So I climb up the ladder, I crouch, I take stock of the situation and throw off a single shuriken. And 15?
Okay, that'll hit. Roll your damage.
7.
God damn.
Yeah. Straight in the forehead.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Your shuriken strikes this thing dead center in the middle of its forehead, and you actually see it stick into its insubstantial, bony features. However, it does not fall.
So it's so there's no flesh on these guys, right? They're kind of dry and skeletal.
That's correct.
Or Yeah, so it breaks the bone, and now it's rattling inside his skull.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yif.
Alright. Sorry about that. Alright, so fighting this thing that Yef doesn't see as wholly solid, she sort of gets the impression that she needs to, like, get it to dissipate. So she sort of, like smoke almost. So she, like, spins her staff at it. And... yeah, she spins her staff and, like, it gets, like, into this, like, creature, and, like, more wisps seem to be, like, flying off it.
Indeed, as more wisps of this thing's form dissipate as you swing your weapon round, you can see that as you're sort of attacking it, it's getting more and more insubstantial, to the point where now it's translucent. You can see the building through it. It is still moving, however. Maybe Yagora can do something about that.
Igor will do his best, but I mean, he keeps missing. However, Igor, seeing that there's more of them, is done. He is enraged, and I am activating my rage. And so instead of a yell, it is this hideous maniacal laughter. And let's see. God damn it! Hit something!
Okay, you rage and lash out with all your fury, but given that this thing seems to be now even more insubstantial, your claws and your weapon pass through it without seeming to meet anything solid. Kovac.
All right. Kovac. Concerned that Sandernise is not as strong as he makes out, he's going to try and protect his erstwhile new friend. He's going to move up to here to try and draw the attention of these creatures and strike them with his glaive, muttering under his breath, "May the flame burn true."
Nice.
Going in for it. Do this. Boom.
That's definitely a hit. Roll your damage. Okay, so rather like as I've described for Yeth, you strike this creature and sort of wisps of its form break off. You can see it's now very sort of translucent. You can see the building, the stables behind it, sort of through its body, but it's still moving. We then move on to
when I look
NPCs.
through it, does anything around me look different when I'm looking through this creature?
Okay, as you look through the creature, you don't see that anything looks different as such, but everything has a sort of washed out, greyish look to it. And you
Does
notice
that have any religious significance?
well, you notice as you're peering through them as well, all the buildings look a little bit decayed as you're sort of looking through it. It leaves you in no doubt that these things are some sort of deathly abomination, and that what you're seeing is sort of like the village through the lens of their corruption, as it were. Okay, we then move on to the NPCs. Okay, so I'll do these two attacking you, Kovac. Okay, so first one hits and does you 4 piercing damage. What's your AC? So what was that?
17 currently.
17. Okay, the second one misses, its weapon passing through you without doing harm. The first one, however, as its weapon moves through you, it's strange. It's not like a wound opens up on you. You don't have any like physical wound, but as the sort of blade goes through you, for a few moments you feel coldness seeping into your bones, and it's as though your heart skips a beat in your chest and your vision seems to go blurry and grey. Then as the weapon comes out of your body, you feel slightly weakened, but your vision returns to normal.
It's like I can feel like a tugging sensation, as if something's trying to be pulled with the blade.
Indeed. You fear that whatever these creatures are, they're not actually striking at your physical form, they're striking at your spirit. Okay, so I'm going to do this one attacking Yeth now.
Ooh.
Okay, you take 7 piercing damage, Yeth. As this, well, sorry, it'll be bludgeoning damage, but this thing just lashes out with its sort of spectral hammer, and as the hammer passes through you, rather like I've just described to Kovac, you don't sustain a physical wound, but you feel your heart go cold, your breath comes out in a mist, and you feel almost like a weakness seeping into your body. Please deduct 7 from your hit point total. Okay, so we're going to move on to Sanding Eyes.
All right. So, Kovac is...
Sorry, just before you go into that, Ambrose, if you just actually click on the green circle and amend it, that's your hit points. Lovely, nice one. Sorry, go ahead, Sanding Eyes.
Yep. So Kovac is facing off against these two, and the one that he hits is kind of like translucent. What about the one that I threw the shuriken at?
The one that you threw the shuriken at, again, it is flickering sort of translucently, but it appears a little more solid than the one that Kovac is engaging.
Yeah. Can I make it there to this guy, the one that I threw the shuriken at, with my movement, and still hit them?
If you make me a successful acrobatics or athletics roll to jump down, yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see how that goes. So I make a leap off the roof, and let's see, acrobatics. Here goes. 18.
Yeah, that's fine. Move yourself next to it as you nimbly leap down from the roof.
I guess I already am in the square, but yeah. Either way, I leap down, do a flip, 3-point hero landing on the ground, and I charge forward, draw my wakizashi, and I go in to chop its head off. Hopefully,
go for it. Yeah, that'll do it. Roll your damage.
So 12.
No. It's 8 damage because you don't have advantage.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. However, that is still enough to kill this creature. So, describe how you launch your attack, and I will tell you what the result is.
So I run at the creature, and my idea is to basically do like the ground was kind of wet or damp here.
That's right.
So I go into a slide, and I slide forward, and I try to chop its head off while I slide by the creature.
Okay, as you slice its head off as you slide by, the thing just explodes into a cloud of mist and begins to dissipate. As it does so, it transforms briefly into the shape of a knoll stood there, just formed out of this mist. It looks towards you, and you see it mouth the words, "Thank you," although you hear no voice, and then it just dissipates and disappears.
I blink hard a couple of times at that, and since I remember that I have Rampage, can I do that now?
Yeah.
Because I still have my bonus action. So I think I have the movement. It was slightly shorter than the average, the regular movement, but I basically jump forward and try to tackle this other creature and bite its face.
Go for it.
Let's see. 19?
I'll do it. Roll damage.
Yeah, 4.
Okay, you bite into this thing, and as you do, you feel your teeth in your mouth go cold as it closes around its misty form. As you pull back, you see the creature is now almost entirely transparent. You can only just about make out its outline, but it still seems to be there.
Yep.
Okay, so next round, Yef.
Alright, after its last attack, I realized that this thing is actually attacking my spirit, and I therefore conclude that maybe I should attack its spirit also. So, as a bonus action, I change my focus, and then I strike at it. And this damage will be psychic as opposed to bludgeoning.
Okay, nice. Right, so describe how you do your attack, and I will tell you what the result is.
Alright, I focus intently on my stuff, and there's a little it fades a bit blue, but almost translucent, and then I strike quickly at the thing.
Okay, as you strike at the creature, it explodes into mist, quickly dispersing, but as you've struck it, you see a misty form of what appears to be a Goliath, wearing just sort of a smith's apron, but very insubstantial and hazy, so you've knocked a spirit out of this thing. It lands kneeling on the ground, looks up at you, gives you a salute with its fist across its chest, nods at you, and then just disappears.
And rampage time. I'm not going to forget about that this time. Roll over there and make another. No, that was stupid.
I'll say you're good, you're not that good.
124, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was how we invented the Uber crit. Okay, 14 is enough to hit it.
Okay, that's good. I like how this means that you've ran up to a fucking ghost spirit and bit it. To me, that sounds insane.
Indeed, and as you bite it, again, you feel this cold sensation in your jaws and your teeth, but as you pull back, these wisps of mist escaping from your jaw, this thing dissipates entirely. You notice as they've been sort of dissipating, a low-lying mist has started to sort of gather around the village.
You have to actually breathe heavily because that did not feel good. I don't know what she expected biting a ghost, but her entire jaw is numb now.
You said that there was noise coming from the bathhouse, right, John?
Indeed.
Okay, in that case, Yagor, seeing nothing around him, will go towards the closest source of noise that isn't his friends, and he's literally going to ram through one of the paper doors, which, I mean, it's paper. I'm 8 feet tall and 400 pounds.
Yeah, it's not.
So what do I see when I'm in there?
Okay, as you run smashing your way into the bathhouse, you can see this sort of circular pool of tepid water, and seated around it as though they had died whilst in the midst of enjoying the pool are a number of these mummified corpses. You can see that they've slowly started to shudder and move as though they're sort of slowly starting to come to life, for want of a better term.
Am I close enough to attack any of them?
Yeah, I mean, they're literally just sort of shuddering at the minute. You could easily just smash the hell out of all of them. I wouldn't even ask you for a roll.
Okie doke. I'm going to do that, and then, assuming I kill one, I'll rampage and bite the head off another.
Not a problem. You smash your way through all of the bodies in here. Since they've not become fully active, you easily, with your rampage, tear through all of them. And with each of them you tear through and dispatch, you see this mist drift up out of their bodies as they fall, now once again lifeless, to the floor. Those of you outside, the mist around the village has started to get thicker and the temperature appears to have dropped. Although it's still daytime, a sort of dimness has fallen across the village, as though the sun were being obscured somehow. Kovac, what are you doing?
Can I see any more of these creatures? Great things.
No, but you can make me a perception roll.
I can do that for you. Absolutely. So looking about at the moment, ready for danger. I can see anything that's actually alive.
Okay, as you're looking about here, you can see that the mist appears to be sort of like gathering together into a form, although you can't tell what it is yet.
Whereabouts? Sorry, I can't quite see on the map.
Where is the mist forming?
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Oh,
there we go. I'll point this out. Something stirs.
Okay, and as you all watch the mist that is swirling around this area, you see a figure stand up from inside the mist, and you see a skeletal figure clad in full samurai armor. You see it stands up tall. It moves with a surety that the previous shambling creatures didn't possess. Any of you who are warriors will recognize that it moves with a warrior's grace. As you look at it, you see it reach across to a scabbard at its side where, you know, a samurai would normally keep their katana. However, the scabbard is empty. The creature lets out a deep howl, that seems to reverberate throughout the village, causing the buildings to shake. Then it holds its hand out in front of it, and the mist around it seems to coalesce into a blade in its hand. It draws a line in the wet earth in front of it, and then it drops back into a fighting pose.
Okay, I'm gonna speak up. Okay, honourable warrior, I take it you would not dishonour yourself by attacking people once they are wounded from previous battle?
Make me an honour test.
Yay! I have the honour.
The skeletal figure lowers the blade that was pointed in your direction. You can see it holds it sort of ready, but it's not as in a, I'm about to charge you and attack you now. You see its stance become a little bit more easy, as though it sort of stood there waiting, although it makes no sound.
I implore you, give us a mere hour, and we shall meet you in honourable combat.
The figure holds up a skeletal hand in front of it. It raises one bony finger, and then it seems to fall apart into the mist.
Wait, John. I'm enraged. I wouldn't wait.
That's fine. If you want to go for it, you've got time. Obviously, this conversation's going on.
I don't want to go for it. It's what.
Can you see it? You're indoors.
I would be ripping out of the bathhouse if there's nothing in here, and the minute I would see it, I would challenge it. I mean, you guys don't have to fight.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Move yourself up. You're good.
Okay. So Yagor would rip through another set of paper, seeing this thing, and he would charge at it, seeing it as an honourable way to die.
Okay, as you charge towards it, you almost sense a feeling of satisfaction from the creature. It spins its blade round and prepares to meet you. Now, Kovac, as you see Yagor tear out of the bathhouse and charge towards it, you recognise the armour that the samurai is wearing. It's the same armour that you saw in the shrine.
It's the hero. Yeah, I'd made that connection. But the blade had been taken, if I recall.
Indeed. You did notice that the creature appeared to reach for a blade, then it howled when there wasn't one there, and now it's formed one from the mist.
Yeah.
Although you notice the blade it's wielding looks a lot less substantial than the actual samurai itself.
Alright, so do I make an attack roll?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, man. Alright, I keep getting crits that I can't use, and it upsets me. 15, does that hit?
You have hit. Roll your damage.
Awesome. 13 points of damage.
Okay. You describe your attack and I'll tell you what happens.
Yagor rips through the paper. He sees this, proud, brave warrior, and in his rage-addled mind, he's thinking, death, 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 death. And he rampages towards it, lifts his axe, looks like he's going to hit him with the butt of it, but right as it comes down, he flips the head to shorthand strike him on the helmet.
Okay. As you run in close to this thing, you see its skull-like visage staring at you, and you feel a momentary stab of fear in your heart, but your rage washes it all away. As you charge in, you swing your weapon, you strike the armour of the creature, causing it to stagger back a couple of paces. It nods, grips its sword, and returns the attack.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, that hits. Ow!
Okay, it hits you for 22 damage.
I am down.
Okay, so as Yagor runs in, lands a solid blow. This thing just lunges forward with a practiced blow. The sword goes clean through Yagor's chest. He falls to the ground. The sword is pulled out. You don't see any wound on Yagor at all. However, you can see what remains of this sort of laboured breath is sort of hissing out, and you can actually see ice crystals have formed on his fur. The warrior, after launching that attack, sort of steps back into the warrior's pose.
I sort of step forward and bow and say, "Forgive me, samurai. He was not aware of the terms of our agreement."
It remains stood in its position. It doesn't give any response. But it doesn't move either.
I'm muted. I'm going to run up and grab the unconscious body of Yagor and drag him far back, and then see if I can at least arrest his wounds.
Okay, yeah. Right. So I'll move Yagor over to yourself. You bandage his wounds. You've stopped him from bleeding anymore. However, he needs some serious medical attention.
Yeah. I like whispering right here, if one of you tend to his wounds. And I'll keep an eye on our new friend here.
So are we to stay here?
I will look at Sand and Eyes, and do you have any form of tinctures? Any form of... what's the word? I can't think of the word.
Okay,
There's
so
my
medicines that could heal him.
while you guys are doing that, I'm going to cut away for a short moment. You go as this spiritual blade strikes through your heart, causing it to go cold, and your vision dims down to nothing. Suddenly you find yourself stood in a small shrine. You think it's the same shrine you visited earlier, but now it's bright, it's airy, you can see it's well tended. As you're watching, you can see the resplendent armour of the samurai on its stand, and a glittering wakizashi and katana resting in their bases. As you watch, you see two hooded figures kick the door in of the shrine. They run in, grab the weapons. You see one of them moves over to the armour. The other one, in a language you don't understand, shouts something, which, given that the other one lets go of the armour, you think he must have been telling his companion to leave it, and then they run out of the door.
Okay, so I saw someone steal the weapons that presumably belonged to the samurai. And what did they look like?
They were wearing sort of like hooded robes. They were quite big. They were obviously gnolls due to how they were moving, but they'd taken some attempt to conceal their identities, and they burst back out of the shrine, rather like yourself bursting through the walls of the bathhouse, and you hear the sounds of them running away into the distance. As you watch, you briefly see a spirit that appears to be a female gnoll, wearing a sort of spectral version of the armour appear. She looks down at the empty weapons case with a look of extreme sorrow in her eyes and reaches out for them. Then, as her hand passes through the desecrated remains of her weapons rack, she lets out a howl of pain and grief, and her form twists and contorts until it resembles the skeletal nightmare that just stabbed you.
Can I say something to this being, or am I completely incapable of speech?
No, you can speak.
All right. I tell the spirit,
No warrior should be without their weapon. I will get this weapon back for you, and then we can have true combat.
now that I'm not rage-addled.
Okay, restore 4 hit points to yourself. You are now on 4 hit points. So,
Okay.
So as the rest of you are also like ministering to Yagor, and he looks like he's on his last legs. Yeah, suddenly you're like,
Weapon! We need to find its weapon!
It just stabbed you with its weapon, don't you remember?
No, that's not its real weapon. It used...
He's talking about the shrine. It was gone.
Yes. Do I remember which direction the other gnolls went?
They seem to head off in an easterly direction, so sort of over in this direction into the undergrowth.
I try to get up.
Wait,
Go ahead.
I like stop you from getting up. Like, let's. I think we should rest at this point.
Are we not honor bound to fight this creature within an hour?
Yes, we've made that deal.
I told it I would get its weapons back. I'm sure it will wait for that.
I look over to the spirit.
Will you wait for your weapons?
The spirit holds its hand out, and the misty katana that it was holding dissipates. It sits down cross-legged on the floor, the mist curling around it.
It will wait for its proper weaponry.
And you see that Yagur is all smiles right now. Like, he looks happier than he's been on this entire trip.
I attempt to make an insight check in order to see if Yuga is actually correct in his assessment, or it's just wishful thinking.
All right, make an insight check.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
with a 20, given how the spirit responded to what he had said, and with the information that your half-orc guide threw in as well, Kovac, you're pretty sure that they're on the right track.
Okay, I have more respect for Yuga now that he intuitively interpreted the samurai's wishes. All right, let's go on. Let's get going.
I met it in the Deadlands.
I don't know that.
I eat one of the chickens to try and regain some of my strength. I just
Each of the
grab
chickens
it.
have names.
Yes, I eat Todd.
Nice. Yeah, you yum down one of these chickens.
Yes. Giving me the strength to stand and move, but not healing me. All right.
Where, do any of you track?
Yeah.
I look at him and I go, they headed off in the east.
Do you think you can pick up their
Who headed off in the east?
the gnolls who stole the samurais?
Samaras? How do you say a female samurai? Or
it's
is it
just
samurai?
Samurai.
All right.
The samurais wore weapons.
Alright. Okay. Did you say west or east?
The east. Sorry.
Okay. Let's. Okay, I think we should get going.
Yogurt starts going in that direction.
Okay, so if you're trying to track them, Yith, can you please make me a survival roll?
Can I assist Yith in this, knowing the local area?
You can indeed. Your assistance will give Yith advantage on that roll.
Alrighty. That's not good.
Okay, you do manage to find some tracks. However, this blade was obviously taken some time ago, and with the rain, it's going to be very, very difficult to follow them. However, you think you've got a vague idea of sort of where they were heading.
I'm not too certain, but I think that this way? It's been a long time. The trail has run almost cold.
Okay, and as you guys start heading off, are you doing anything in the village before you head off, or are you all just following this trail?
I'm guessing we just follow the trail.
Okay.
Unless Matthew has something to say.
I was gonna. I don't know if I would or not. Okay, I'll try. I'll ask the samurai. I'll address it by name, which I have forgotten, unfortunately, John.
That's not a problem. It is Kida Raku.
Kida Raku, we seek your blade. Can you provide us with some token of your appreciation, so we may know when the blade is near? If you can sense its location. Noble spirit.
The samurai stands. Its head bows for a moment, then it walks over to where you're stood, Kovac. It holds out its hand again, and a much smaller blade, a wakizashi, seems to coalesce out of this mist, and it holds the blade out towards you, handle first.
I will take it, bowing at the same time.
You take it out. As you hold it, there's a slight cold feeling to it, as though it had been left out on a frosty morning, but it does you no harm.
So I will close my eyes and try and track it with the blade, see if I can get a sense.
Okay, you're not getting any direct sense of the location of the blade, but you can make me an Arcana check if you wish.
Ooh, I don't know.
I think it's going to be like a hot, cold thing. Like when you get near it, it starts to glow.
Okay, with your Arcana roll at 15, as correctly surmised by Aaron, as you start walking in the direction of your companions, you notice the blade starts to feel ever so slightly warmer.
This way.
Okay, and as you all walk off following the tracking skills of Yith, I think that is where we are going to end this evening's session, guys. So, and we will pick up next time with you guys on the trail of this sword thief. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
I did.
It was fun.
Always a pleasure.
Awesome.
I'm obviously happy to chat for a while, as always, but I'm going to stop the recording here. So thanks anyone who's watching. We'll hopefully catch you soon. Take care.